Man, that Power Rangers reboot has got some big shoes to fill. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is our Post Geekout Reaction for Voltron Season 2. We've been getting a lot of mileage out of the thinking couch this month. Typically we do like maybe one of these a week, but because this whole month we've been looking back at the best and worst films of last year, like 2/3 of all my videos this month have been out here on the thinking couch. So I'm kind of gonna be glad when we can finally stop just sitting out here. But I will gladly come back out here and plump myself right down on the thinking couch once again to talk about Season 2 of Voltron, which just came out this Friday. Now, for anybody who has not seen one of the Post Geekout Reactions before, this is not a review. It's just our open, honest discussion about how we felt about the thing that we just watched, and that includes full spoilers. So if you have not seen all 13 episodes of Season 2 of Voltron, now on Netflix, hey man, I can't help you. This is not the video for you, because yeah, we're gonna go into full spoilers, and there are indeed spoilery things.
Yes.
First off, what did you think of Season 2 compared to Season 1? Like, if you had to, like, say, did you like this one more, less?
There's definitely, like, more at stake, definitely. Like, the battles feel more dramatic and, like, more intense. It's like, they basically, it's like they're starting to, like, both the enemies and the paladins are, like, learning more techniques to help advance their fight. So every time they go at each other, it's more intense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say, honestly, I liked Season 1 more than this one.
It's because there's more character development?
I honestly, partly. And I'll get to that later. But also, I think partly just because of the newness factor of it. Like, because I had no interest in Voltron, period. It was just not something that I ever got into. I never watched the old cartoon, never read any of the comics. It was just something that never really interested me. It wasn't until I heard that the people who made Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra were going to be making this, I was like, okay, fine, I'll check it out. And then I was like, holy cow, that was so much better than I thought it was going to be. So I think it's because I went into this season with some expectations, but it is also kind of partly because Season 1, there was more character development. This season, I feel like we got some character development with Keith. We definitely did.
Yes.
Definitely. And also with Shiro, with the Black Lion. We also got some development with him, definitely. But the rest of the team, I don't really feel like we got that.
I think it's just going to be more development for each character as in, like, the next season and so on.
And yeah, that's kind of my problem. That's kind of why, like, I think that's kind of what, I don't even want to say my problem, because that makes it sound like I had a problem with this season. It just, I think the reason why I didn't like this season as much as the first season is because the first season they were like, we don't know if we're getting to Season 2. We gotta make this season count. In this one they were like, we're definitely getting to Season 3, maybe even to Season 4. We can keep going as long as we want. We don't have to cram as much in here. So this season didn't feel quite as heavy to me. Definitely had more action to it. But it didn't feel like we got to explore these characters quite as much, aside from Keith. Keith, to me, was the one who definitely got way more, which is good, because I honestly think that in Season 1, Keith, despite almost kind of being the protagonist in a way, he kind of got, like, the whole team is the protagonist. But, like, he's the Red Lion, and whoever's red on a team is going to be like, yeah, you're kind of the one, you have the primary color that all of our eyes are drawn to. So it's like, I think that, like, many people kind of looked at Keith like, okay, he's going to be a big deal, but they didn't really do a lot with him in Season 1. So this is the season in which they're like, no. There's a reason he's in the Red Line. There's a reason that he is the one everybody's been saying is probably going to be the main character. Like, we're going to really explore his backstory. I still feel like Lance and Hunk are kind of getting, like, the short end of the stick. But, you know, as I said, this is the season that I became aware, okay, they're going to stretch this stuff out. And it kind of really made me sad that we finished it. Like, we finished it all in one night. And it kind of made me sad to go, oh man, it's going to be a year before we get this again. Or at least like 8 months, because they turned Season 2 out quick. I got to give them that. Because when did Season 1 come out? It wasn't that long ago.
No.
Yeah, it was like maybe like 8 months ago. So, okay, well, when I say 8 months, it's not that bad. But I did enjoy it. I want that to be very clear. I did enjoy it. I just think I enjoyed Season 1 a little bit more. And because of that, I'm going to go into a little bit more of my problems with this season. Not really my problems, more like things like, okay, these are things I want to see you improve upon in the future seasons. But we're also going to cover all the things that we really enjoyed. That's bound to happen when you're on the thinking couch. How great would it be if YouTube caught that like 2 seconds of that car driving by? It was like, oh, copyright claim this video. But okay, so let's just go ahead and start. Normally, like when we talk about like a movie or something on one of these, we give you the plot summation, but it's like it's 13 episodes. We're just gonna go all over the place. I will go ahead and say, flat out, my favorite episode of the whole season, Space Mall. That's the thing about like the Legend of Korra guys. That's the thing about the Avatar guys. They always are like, all right, we're gonna build this team. We're gonna have action. We're gonna have drama. But we're always gonna have one episode each season where it's just them just goofing off and having fun.
And wacky shenanigans. Yes.
Yeah, there's always the wacky shenanigans episode. And like Space Mall was that episode, and it was so good. I love seeing Hunk there working at the restaurant, and like when the guy was like, "I'm going to make sure I get him back here," I was like, "Oh, is he gonna be a thing in season 3? Is he gonna come back in season 3?" And also, I love seeing Pidge just freak out over the video game system, and like the moment I saw her freaking out over that, I was like, I know what the end joke of this is going to be, and sure enough, the end joke was they have no way of plugging it in. I was like, yeah, no, duh. But still, it was like, that was just so great, and like in that moment I was like, I honestly believe, like, in between season 1 and season 2, they looked at the internet, saw Pidge was everyone's favorite, and was like, goal for season 2, we have to make Pidge as adorable as possible. And I'm not saying like, I'm not using the word adorable because like she's the one girl on the team or because she's small. I'm using the word adorable because every time that she would just like freak out and her eyes would get all sparkly and glassy, like there were like 3 episodes in a row where like every 5 seconds was just
it's funny, it's like you mentioned that Shiro and Keith had the most character development. Yeah, there were like a lot of there were like some episodes that like focused on Pidge, and
I feel like there was that one where she goes and like gets more into the lion and gets like and learns her special ability for the lion. But I feel like season 1 she had way more. But in all honesty, I'm kind of glad they toned that down because I thought in season 1 it was focused unevenly on her compared to the rest of the team. So this season she got like 1 episode to focus on her, and I was like, okay, season 1, you got the majority. Season 2, Keith's getting the majority. All right, I'm seeing how this is going. All right, I get it now. But yeah, she definitely like Lance and Hung definitely to me are still like the guys. It was like, yeah, you haven't gotten really any attention just yet.
Not yet.
But it's like Pidge this season. I think they did pretty good on. Got at least 1 episode to specifically go, here's your journey, here's your character arc. All right, got it. But we still have this in the background. But at the same time, I feel like they could have done more with Pidge because it wasn't until we got towards the end of the entire season when she started looking for her brother again for like that brief moment. Like I wasn't even thinking of her brother throughout this entire season. I had completely forgotten about that. And then when she started searching for the brother, I was like, oh yeah, right, that was a thing. I totally forgot about that.
Well, when you know, you're busy saving the world and everything.
I guess, I know, but it's like, it could have come up like 2 or 3 times throughout the season, like just brief mentions, just like, oh, maybe these people will know where my brother is. Maybe these people will be able to help us or something like that. Or, like asking somebody about it, like at some point, it's like, okay. Because it was like, I just completely forgot about that. So that was my, because that really was, like I said, my problem with season 2. And again, I hate using the word problem because it makes it sound like I didn't like this. I did really enjoy it. But my problem with season 2 is that it's like,
maybe you should just say issue. That sounds
my issue, fine. My issue with season 2 is that it's like, that storyline of Pidge looking for her brother is like, I feel like we didn't really get it over the course of 13 episodes. The only progression was, oh, okay, I saw this video footage of him being escorted by someone. I was like, all right, that's not really much. And also in like season 1, I thought that the villain was a little bit flat. I wanted to get more on him. And then in season 2, it was like, he created the Black Lion. That's it. It's like, all right, that's good for an episode, but over the course of 13 episodes, I would like a little bit more in there. Like, this season felt a little bit light to me as far as like character stuff goes. But as far as like the story goes of like the whole like Team Voltron thing of like them fighting the Galrogs?
I think Galrog?
Galrog, I think that's it. But yeah, I do not remember names. I'm sorry. If you guys have watched this before, you know I don't remember names. But yeah, like the whole story of Voltron fighting the Galrogs, that progressed a lot. And they focused a lot on that. I really feel like this series needs to be longer than 13 episodes long. Like, I know that that's Netflix's deal. Netflix is like, okay, you get 13 episodes per season. That's what we do. But like, all the Avatar seasons were like 20 some odd episodes long. It's like, I feel like that's what these people need. Because like, I think you progress the story of them versus Team of Voltron versus the Galrogs very well. But it's like, if you had given us like 7 more episodes to kind of explore her search for her brother, like dedicate a little bit more time to Keith's whole mystery, like another episode talking about that, giving Hunk his own episode, you know, just a little bit more here and there. Maybe you could have made like the Prison Break episode like a 2-parter thing, like just stretching out a little bit more to get a little bit more characters in there. Because that was the other like issue that I'm starting to have with this, is that we get introduced to a lot of different alien races, and I think that that's really cool, but the villains are always just the Galrogs in this season. In season 1, we got those people on that weird island they met. Not that weird island, when they crash landed on the planet and they were like the scavenger people.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Okay, so that's something different, that's something in there, and then like you got the giant like reptile iguana creature that they had to fight, which granted was from the Galrogs, but still, it was like, okay, that seems like different. But in this season, it was like, it's pretty much all just the Galrogs this season. I would have really done like, you know, give us like an episode where like a bounty hunter shows up trying to take him down. Give us like an episode where there's some, like I read the comic, the Voltron comic that recently came out based on this show, and it was like, man, they face all kinds of stuff in there. None of them are connected to the Galrogs in any way, shape, and form. It's like, I would kind of like to see a couple episodes of that in there, because that was one of the things I always really loved about Avatar, is that you would get the Fire Nation is the villains. They're the villains the whole time. But they're not like the only threats you go up against, and like even when you're going up against different members of the Fire Nation, you get a variety in here. In this, it's just different generals with different ships that just fire out lasers throughout pretty much all this entire season, and then there was the one giant robot, which was the old general guy, which I opened this thing with a joke about Power Rangers, but the moment that I saw the witch character make that general basically get big, my minion, I was like, God, how good would the Power Rangers reboot be if it was these guys doing it? Like, wouldn't you love to see the Avatar guys do an animated Power Rangers reboot? That would be amazing. It kind of made me sad that we got Voltron instead, and it's like, yeah, there's so much more that they could have done with Power Rangers. Alright. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. That might just be because that's the thing that I grew up with. I didn't have any connection to Voltron. But yeah, it's like, I think that's pretty much all my issues with this season. So it's like, okay, I want a little bit more variety in the villains, want a couple more episodes just focusing on the characters, and I can't remember the other one that I said. I had a third one. Yeah, I guess it wasn't that important. But yeah, it was basically, I just combined my 2 other complaints into issue number 2. Basically, issue number 2 was I want more episodes focusing on the characters, but it was like, give us more growth of each of the characters, and also progress the other storylines aside from just fighting the Galrog. Aside from that, I'm still blown away by the season. I still loved it. If you guys have stuck with us up until this point, that's it. Aside from that, I'm still loving this season. Did you have any like issues this season that you want to get out?
Well, it's like not issues, but like excitement, like.
That's the exact opposite of issues.
No, but it's more like anticipation.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Right. It's like I knew there was I had a feeling that there was going to be another season, but at the same time, I was like, I kind of want this to wrap up. I want to see the big finale, the big fight, but at the same time, it's like, if this fight ends and it's all over, I still have so many more questions.
Yeah. Did you get... I knew it wasn't going to be the finale.
No.
Because, again, this is the Avatar guys, and it's like, as they kept going, this is it. This is us going up against them. I was like, yeah, I've seen this before. What was that, Day of No Sun or whatever it was? That storyline over in Avatar, which was like, yeah, we got finally taken the Fire Lord, and we know his weakness, and we're going to be able to defeat him. I was like, you ain't gonna do squat. There's a whole other book in here, alright? I know you ain't gonna win. So I was watching this the entire time, and they were like, this is it. This is really how it's gonna end. I was like, no, it ain't. We all know it's not going to end like this. But yeah, so, yeah, I'm glad that it didn't end there. But also, I was kind of saying in season 1, like there was that witch character. I can't remember. Again, terrible with names, but like, yeah, like the witch working underneath the main Galra guy.
Yeah, the general, basically.
His name I also can't remember. All right, screw it. I can't keep doing this. Okay, they are called the Galra. The leader is Zarkon. The witch I'm talking about is Hagar. Okay, so as I was about to say, one thing that I really enjoyed at the end of this is that Hagar kind of stepped up, and now Hagar had her own mystery to her, because in season 1 I was like, she seems more interesting than Zarkon. Zarkon, you know, big and tough, but kind of flat. I'm getting a sense of something coming from Hagar. I want to know what her whole deal is, which we will get to that big reveal in just a second.
Yeah, I guess the thing I want to talk about, like, also involves the reveal, so if you, like, want to keep...
Well, let's go ahead and get into the reveals then, because, like, pretty much everything else I'm going to talk about, because otherwise, alright, you know what, there was one other problem that I had this season, that I had in season 1, and I addressed this in the review that I did, in which I said, I kind of have a problem with how many Deus Ex Machina season 1 had, and I get that that's, like, a staple of this type of show, like the giant robots who assemble together and become an even bigger robot. I get that there's lots of Deus Ex Machinas, like, I don't know how to defeat this monster. Suddenly we have the weapon to defeat this monster. That kind of stuff happens all the time in this, and I forgive it up to an extent, but in season 1 when it got to that point where the princess just went, oh, how are we going to sneak in there? My entire race is shapeshifters. Did I never mention this up until this point? I know it's the next to last episode, but I never mentioned that until now. But yeah, it's the exact power that my race just happens to have that we need. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? You had that this entire season? Like, that was the one that, like, blew me away. And I kind of had that this season as well, when it was like, oh my god, these crystals are breaking. We need these crystals in order to be able to teleport and do our warp speed thing. How on earth are we going to be able to do it? They've broken it. We can't get any more. And it was like, Hunk actually tried to bake some cookies. Turns out those cookies contain the exact element that we need in order to reflect these lights, in order to substitute for the crystals. Oh, but they're not shiny enough. Oh, turns out that I have a certain disease right now that allows me to make things shiny. Like, wow. For real? So, yeah, there's still a lot of Deus Ex Machinas in this season, but it only felt like it went up until, like, the halfway point. After the halfway point, I was like, okay, everything's earned at this point. You're setting everything up. No more Deus Ex Machinas at this point. So I was like, alright, I got handed to them. They laid it on pretty thick there in the first, like, 6 episodes, but then after that, I was like, okay, now you guys are handling your stuff.
Well, to be fair, the season started off with them being separated in a wormhole, so I guess they kind of needed some Deus Ex Machinas to get back together.
Well, I'm fine with that one, because it was like, okay, Pidge used her science to get them back. It's like, yeah, man, Pidge is smart with science. Like, of course that's going to get them back together. But, like, that one didn't have a problem with. I kind of have a little bit of a problem with, like, okay, they each have special abilities, and the special abilities happen to come out at the exact moment they need them. But, like, you know what? If they didn't come out in that moment, when else would they come out? And we have already set up that they each have their own special abilities. So that didn't bother me that much. It was really just the cookies being the exact thing that they needed. And that one was like, alright, man, that's kind of lazy. But that was pretty much it. And like I said, after that point, I didn't really get any, like, Deus Ex Machinas anymore. Like, it was like, alright, man, you pretty much fixed that problem. Good for you guys. But alright, so you want to go into, like, reveal stuff.
Yeah, so basically, the 2 big reveals is that, Keith is part Galra, and what was her name? Hagar?
Hagar,
Yeah, she's the same race as the princess is.
Yeah, that one. That was a big reveal.
But, you're mentioning how you got tired of this second season focusing on the Galra, but I think the whole point is to show that one entire race cannot just be labeled.
Oh, and I did enjoy that.
Yes.
That was some stuff that I really enjoyed. Like, getting into the whole, like, this secret organization of Galra who are rebelling against them, and they're all a bunch of badasses. That was pretty awesome to see. And also, I liked that the princess kind of was a jerk about all this, because I was like, yeah, she was pretty much perfect in season 1, and the show in here is like, no, yeah, she can be pretty judgmental herself, which granted, the Galra wiped out her entire race, but it was like, you know what? She has her own journey. She needs to learn to grow as well. She needs to learn, she's got some baggage in this. So I was like, I thought that was actually great to see. It's not that I have a problem with this whole season being focused on the Galra, it's that I just had issues with the fact that it's like, okay, that means that we don't get to focus on other things as well. Like I said, if you could extend this to being like 20 episodes, I think this season would have been amazing. Because I know that the 7 extra episodes would have been all just character stuff. But yeah, as for Keith being a Galra, I would never, like, ever have guessed that. That is
really?
never, like...
Because it's like, the thing is, like, I go on Tumblr, like, and, the thing is, like, there are a lot of fan theories going around. Like, on Tumblr,
That Lance loves Keith.
Well...
But yes, there is that theory, but it's like, I don't... Think what you guys want to think. Enjoy what you want to enjoy, man. I don't see that, though.
No, shut up about that. Anyway, the thing is, like, a lot of the fans have, like, really, like, predicted certain outcomes. Like, in Gravity Falls, the fans predicted that Grunkle Stan had a twin. And in Steven Universe, the fans predicted that Garnet was a fusion. And with Voltron, the fans predicted that Keith was part Galra.
How did they do that? Because with him having a brother and with her being like 2 gems, there's clues for that all over. Where's the where's the evidence? That's what I'm asking.
I don't know. Maybe we just need to rewatch the episodes and like focus on certain things.
All right. So people apparently guess this. All right. But how? That's my question. It's like, granted, it's not like I rewatched all of season 1 right before going into season 2.
To explain to us how, just write down in the comments.
They know what to do. It's not like I rewatched all of season 1 right before watching this. But I don't remember anything from season 1 that kind of like hinted at that. Maybe there was stuff. But yeah, I totally missed it. But it's not like I have a problem with it. It's not like I'm coming in here going like, this doesn't make any sense. I was like, this is an interesting turn. This is a really cool thing to add in here. And I love this idea of like, all the lions kind of like getting an upgrade of sorts. Mm-hmm. Like they're all going to learn to get more powerful. Like when Pidge kind of like went on her little journey quest and...
like basically the stronger the paladin's bond is with the lions, the more like power the more weapons they unlock and everything.
They know, yeah. But I love this idea that each of them are going to get stronger. Each of them are kind of going to go to the next level. Like with Shiro getting the wings on his line at the end, that was amazing. And him like actually kind of surpassing Zarkon, that was a fantastic moment this season. But to me, the one that made me really excited was when Keith was able to basically activate that sword that he got and was able to make it transform, because now like he's going to go to this team of like really high-tech assassin Galra people, this secret society, and they're going to train him next season, so he's just going to become an ultimate badass. I want to see what happens when he comes back from that, because then you also know everybody else is going to have to go on their own little quest to become stronger. Pidge already kind of got hers, but I can see her returning to that planet with all the like plant techno people and like really educating herself. I could see this show doing like a time skip. I could see this show doing like a 1 year like time jump thing where they all have to like separate and go and train their own ways. So that's kind of the stuff that I really want to see come from everything that we learned about Keith this season. And also, as for Hagar being revealed to be the same race as the princess, it actually made me think, have we heard anything about her mom?
No, only her father.
Yeah, that's the thing that got me, because she's, like, super powerful. We know that the princess has got major voodoo going for her. She's got major mumbo jumbo or whatever magic it is that her race has. And then we've got this, like, the high priestess druid under Zarkon is of the same race as her, and their entire race got wiped out 10,000 years ago. So it's like, I know I'm not crazy by saying there might be a connection here.
Yeah, I think so too.
That could totally be something, because, like, yeah, I can't think of any time that they ever mentioned her mother in here.
Another reason why I like this is because, you know, like we said before, like, the princess has been, like, kind of racist towards the Galra, and she had, like, assumes that all of them are evil, and she just assumes that all of her race is good, but now that she realizes one of her own works for the Galra, she's like, oh no, and, like, when the Galra works for her, Keith, and the rebellion, it's like, oh, I'm starting to realize that nothing is in black and white, and there's always exceptions, and...
Yeah, and also, speaking of that rebellion squad, I loved how, like, crazy the science fiction got around them. Of, like, they literally have a base that is located within a blue sun that is located between two black holes.
Yeah.
Like, the people making this show are getting really freaking creative. And I love seeing that. But I also, just thinking about, like I said, like, what's going to come of her, because it's like, okay, if that turns out to be her mom, and her mom has this much magic, imagine if all of a sudden she starts learning how to use all this magic. It's like, taking that back to, like, the team getting all the more powerful and maybe going off doing their own stuff. It's like, okay, I really want to see them come back, and it's like, I know, listen, I fully am aware that the whole point behind giant robot shows is to sell toys. Like, I realized this when I was a kid and I was watching Power Rangers, and suddenly they went, oh, the green Megazord can now transform and jump onto our other Megazord and also make it into this new form. And it's like, yeah, go buy more toys. Like, I got that when I was a kid. I still don't care. I want to see them get a new Voltron next season. I want to see next season they go off, they train some more, and then all of a sudden, like, their lions just transform even further, and now when they join together, it's like a super buffed up one. Or maybe, like, the princess gets her own, like, pink lion, and it gets in there and, like, gives them, like, even more powers. Like, I really want to see them do... If there is any show out there that is set up to do, like, a time skip where everybody goes off and becomes major badasses, it's this show right here. I really want to see that. Also, next season, I want to see Space Cow come back. That was one thing that kind of did bug me as well. Not like a major issue or anything, but I was like, are you guys going to have, like, a pet cow on board this whole time now?
You
Like,
think it's just a one-off for that episode?
I hope not. I hope not, because, like, you guys got a cow.
This is from the
ship.
Space Mall episode, by the way.
This, if you don't know what this is, why are you still watching? You don't know what we're talking about. You don't have to explain to them what we're talking about. I want to see Space Cow return. That thing, I was like, this would be awesome if they just had a cow on board. For no reason, like, they just set him up in his, like, own little tiny room, give him, like, a garden to...
No, just feel like a running gag. Like, every now and then you just see the space cow in the background.
Yeah.
And then it'll just cut back and they just completely go about their business and not mention it.
It honestly made me think of, in the Batman comics, after Batman adopted Damian, Damian saved a cow from a slaughterhouse. I was like, I don't care, I'm keeping this cow. And now there's a cow in the Batcave. And they just call him the Bat Cow. I was like, do the same thing. Do that exact thing. I want to see Space Cow. I want to see the Voltron cow in here. That'd be amazing.
Voltron cow forms the udders.
Ew. You took it too far. I guess we should go ahead and talk about the very end of this season and what happened to Shiro.
Yes.
Which, that is a great example of setting this up from the beginning. See, the first episode of this was a great episode because, like, the whole relationship between Shiro and Keith kind of being laid out of like, hey man, I trust you, you're the next in line, I might be dying, and like Keith having to like face what he might have to do if he was in charge. Like, this has been a great thing running throughout this entire season. And then at the end, yeah, Shiro vanishes, which I'm glad something happened.
Yeah.
Because when the princess was going in there and she was just like giving that big speech about working together and all that, and then all of a sudden you do have like that moment that you have in any anime where a character dies, where it's got the white background and the silhouette of the character going, oh, I was like, oh damn.
Yeah, I
Did
thought
they just kill the princess? I'm like, that would be, holy cow,
Wow.
would not have seen that. And then it turns out that not only is she okay, she's actually stronger than ever and is able to go in there and do flips with her staff and stuff. I was like, alright, whatever. But then they were setting up that Shiro was going to die, and I was like, oh god. And then Shiro didn't die. I was like, oh, okay. And then at that point, it kind of took some of the suspense away, because I was like, yeah, you've kind of gone to this character might die pool just a few too many times. And then there at the end, when he just vanishes, I was like, oh, so you did do something here.
like Shiro is gone, but we don't know if he's.
I think he's gone, like, into that space where he fought Zarkon, that
Maybe.
like that mental space.
Yeah, the
Basically,
mental
like-
space where he tries to connect with his lion.
Basically, I think he kind of pulled an Obi-Wan when like Darth Vader like slashed him, and instead of his body falling down, it's just the robe and there's no body there. Like basically how like Obi-Wan just totally joined the Force. I kind of think that Shiro just like totally joined the Lions. Like for any Flash fan out there, he went into the Speed Force. Basically, is what I think. Like he pushed himself so far and his connection with his Lion so far. I think him and the Lion are now basically one. I think there's gonna come like a moment next season when like Keith is having to like contemplate getting into the Lion, or maybe even the Princess, because I think I was looking this up before because I kept trying to think, wasn't there like a female member of Voltron before in the old shows, and like I think in an older series like the Princess became like the fifth Lion, so like okay, maybe that's it. And like she's going to board into the Black Lion, and like she's going to be able to like talk to Shiro when she's in there. I was like, okay, that kind of be a cool thing. Although at the same time, I want to see Shiro return
Yes.
because I love that character.
Yeah.
I don't want him to be gone just yet.
You know, everyone was like so distraught when they found out that there's a chance that Shiro would die or something. So.
Yeah, like he honestly is one of my favorite characters
Yeah.
on this show. I would love to see him come back. I do not want to see him just fade away and disappear. But if he is going to do that, I would kind of be cool with the princess taking the Black Lion, and she can communicate with Shiro. Like she keeps getting visions of Shiro when she's in there. Like she can go off to the astral plane and communicate with him there, like meditate with him. He tries to train her and how to use the Black Lion, stuff like that. I don't know, but yeah, I am really hoping that they're gonna have to go on like some kind of a quest where like they try, because I really do think that's what happened, where he went into whatever that plane was where they were fighting. Like his whole body just got absorbed into it. I really do think that the Paladins are going to have to go on like some kind of quest to retrieve him from there. It's gonna be like the opening episode of season 3, but they can't get him out of there. Again, totally cool with him being the Obi-Wan ghost that just talks to them all. It's like, okay, he's still going to be around in one way, shape, or form. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
He's not totally gone.
No.
Was there anything else this season that you really want to talk about? I will say, I mentioned I got really tired of just seeing them basically do nothing but fight the ships, and except for that one giant mech guy, and I'd like to see a couple more giant monsters next season. I said I want to see more variety in the villains. Really good example of that was when they had to go and break the scientists out of there, and there was the guy who ran the place, and he just injected himself with Bane venom and grew huge and had the 2 giant monkey robot arms. I was like, that's how you do a different type of villain. Good. More of this next season. Like, yeah, I want to see more stuff like that. Give me more variety in the things they're fighting.
So another thing that has happened in the second season is that the Paladins and the Lions are like discovering their own elements.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and obviously they're gonna like expand further because they haven't done that yet with some of them. Like for example, Pidge learns how to like grow vines, and Lance uses ice powers. So
Well, he can use ice powers in the previous season. This season he gets sound powers.
yeah, sound. Yeah, so like basically sonar. So like
Yeah.
basically like more like water themed powers.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to like seeing like Lance get like firepower and like.
He got the giant cannon at the end of season 1, but
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Is like, next season I want them to go off, do the big training thing for a while, come back after they've learned their own stuff, and now all of a sudden they can go to like a third mode, get a whole new thing in there.
I want to see Hunk Earth bend.
Okay. Yeah.
Cause he keeps getting the short end of
He
the
does.
stick.
Because, like, in season 1, Lance even had a couple moments in there where I was like, okay, I'm getting some character from Lance. Hunk has been, like, even though Hunk got kind of like a love interest for an episode, he still, for like 2 seasons, I feel has gotten the shortest end of the stick. Overall. Like, he has just kind of been the jokey character. Which I will say, one thing I really liked about this season, though, was it kind of bugged me that Pidge, I know that Pidge is the smartest one there, but it seemed like in season 1, Pidge was the only smart one there, and I was like, Hunk's a mechanic, can't he occasionally, like, join in on this? And, like, this season we saw Hunk actually joining in every now and then. We actually got to see Hunk being kind of smart. I was like, okay, good, alright, good. You didn't forget that about him, good. So yeah, I do think if there's any character who next season needs more attention and needs to get, like, his own, like, growth and his own story, it's Hunk. Hunk needs the most next season.
I mean, like, even Lance had some more, like, growth. Like, he, like, you know, in, like, one of the episodes, like, the jailbreak episode, he was like, I'm the sharpshooter, right? I mean, that's the reason why I'm on the team, right? I'm not just, like, some dead weight, am I?
He got that. He also got the episode where he got to be the hero with the mermaids.
Yes.
Wasn't a lot of character development, but it was still, like, here's the Lance episode, this episode that spotlights Lance. It's like, yeah, Lance has gotten some stuff. Hunk really has been this season, he was like, I'm still the guy who likes food. But
at least he knows how to cook food.
But we did see him being smarter this season, which I was like, okay, good, bring that back. Remind people he's the mechanic. But yeah, he definitely needs the most attention next season. But yeah, anything else that you want to say for next season?
That's pretty much it. I've pretty much said what I had to say.
All right, well, thank you guys for watching. Let us know in the comments down below what you thought about season 2 of Voltron. Also, why the hell do people think that Keith was the Galra? Like, how did they call that season 1? Because that's one of the things that bugs me is like, okay, did people call this, or is it just people saying anything that came to their mind and one of them happened to be true? Because I remember, I've seen that tons of places before. I remember when Dark Knight Rises came out, there were people pointing to, like, this one guy in the internet going, he called everything that was going to happen just from the first trailer. And I was like, he had 12 different theories and one of them was correct. That doesn't count. But yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and if you want to see some more professional videos from me, in which I talk about anything from the world of geekery, whether it be movie reviews, comic book news, video game news, anything like that, then make sure you click that subscribe button. Thank you guys for joining in. Come back next time. Bye.